Gentleman's time has expired. Gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Kinzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here and spending some time with us today. We appreciate it. And I just want to thank you also for your commitment to making sure that our homes and businesses have reliable energy. I think we all recognize how vital your mission is to our nation's economic and national security. That being said, I remain concerned about the resiliency and reliability of our energy supply. For years now, we've recognized the precarious situation that our nuclear plants are in. My district is home to 4 nuclear power plants, and which is the most in the country, and it accounts for 12% of the nation's nuclear power. These plants provide good jobs, they're good for our environment, and I think we've seen that they're proven performers during extreme weather events, whether it's polar vortex, hurricanes, things like that. Yet 2 plants in Illinois are still almost closed. Thousands of jobs and a significant amount of clean energy were almost lost. The state of Illinois had to step in to recognize the important role that these plants play in our state economy, but also in the reliability of our energy supply. Unfortunately, now other plants in other states are facing the same fate. So to the whole panel, as you know, in some wholesale energy markets, certain resources like nuclear are struggling to recover costs and remain competitive, which has led to the early retirement of plants that could otherwise continue to run for decades. Do you think energy markets can better value resource attributes for all types of energy generators? And what about resiliency and reliability specifically?
Congressman, I'll jump in first here. Thank you for the question.
Sure.
We have acknowledged here the importance of ensuring that states are able to exercise their legitimate role in making resource decisions and expressing resource preferences through law, such as you have acknowledged that Illinois has done with regard to the nuclear fleet there. And we just have to ensure that with regard to the wholesale markets that we oversee, that rates are indeed just and reasonable, which is our long-standing statutory standard, and that nothing done at the state level amounts to a pressing of a thumb on the scale, or as my colleague Commissioner Powelson has said, picking winners and losers in a way that we would regard as inconsistent with the statutory role.
But let me ask you, like, kind of more deeply on that. If you look at, is there a value to the reliability issue, or we just, I mean, is there a value to resiliency, reliability, things along
nuclear?
That line? Yes.
Certainly, my view is we very much need to be in all of the above. We need an all of the above policy in terms of satisfying our nation's generating needs, and I certainly personally include nuclear in that.
Well, I mean, that's great. I appreciate that. But the question is, do you think that you can better value resource attributes like that to nuclear, for instance?
That's a question that's before us now in our ongoing proceeding on grid resilience. Are there resilience attributes that are present but are not being adequately compensated? If the answer to that question is yes, then I think we've got to decide what steps are appropriate.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to that?
I will pick up on it. I heard earlier from Chairman Walden, we talked about customers and customers having choice in these competitive markets. In your state, your former governor and your legislature adopted electric restructuring. Those nuclear plants you referenced, customers paid a competitive transition charge as part of a stranded cost investment. And so here we are today in my state and your state, where we're the second largest nuclear production state, where something that was, quote, too cheap to meter is coming back into the market, whether it's a value around resiliency, and we're being asked, theoretically, your constituents are being asked to do another stranded cost for those assets. So if I'm a gas operator or I'm an emerging technology in the market, I'm not getting any type of backstop for my resource, and I could be clean and efficient and resilient. So I think, to the chairman's credit, we're looking at that in developing this record. There are characteristics of nuclear plants that will clear in these markets. It's a concern that I've seen in my state, where a standalone nuclear reactor like 3 Mile Island is under tremendous stress. And why is that? Well, it's because 100 miles north up the 83 corridor is gas coming out of the ground at $1.21 per MMBTU, and a power plant that has a much lower cost to run and can provide baseload resource on the grid.
But I think the question is long-term, how do we value the fact that that may change? It may go from $1.20 to $1 billion, right? In which case, now we find ourselves as some European markets and other markets have that undervalued nuclear power in a tail chase against the cost of electricity now. Specifically, I just got back from Australia, and they're like finding themselves in that kind of a situation as well. So my time has run out. I thank you all for being here, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.